Welcome to this odyssey into the collective Inuit spirit, the convergence of our inquiring minds and our creative energies, which shape the meaning of life for us in the homeland we love, Inuit Nunat. Our journey begins from centuries past when our Agakuk, the Inuk shaman, channeled this energy and knowledge, guiding fellow Inuit to navigate the spirit world in peace. The Angakuk's Sakwasut, words and songs, the Pisit, personal songs or poems, the Kilau Janik, ceremonial drum dancing, in the Kagik, ceremonial igloo, and the Katajanik, throat singing, are all original and treasured forms of Inuit music. The repertoire of our Inuit songs and dance is intimately connected to our environment, our culture, our home. Tusarnitut, sounds that please the ear, offers a glimpse of this world shared across Inuit Nunat, the Inuit homeland, which occupies the circumpolar region spanning Chukotka to Alaska, Canada, and Greenland, and is home to a population of more than 180,000. This exhibition brings together Inuit artworks from the 1950s to the present, offering a transhistorical circumpolar perspective on the fundamental role music plays in the Inuit life, while providing a rare opportunity to appreciate differences in style and content among artists and regions. Throughout the exhibition, we have included rare archival films and music selections so that you can hear and see this rich musical tradition in action. It is our hope that the works and musical performances presented will enable deeper reflections on the perseverance and ingenuity of the Inuit culture and people as they confront the forces of colonization, which sought to suppress their music and music. Tusamitut aims to honor these musical traditions and to demonstrate how they continue to shape Inuit culture today. This piece is untitled. The informal title, though, is Two Hunters Cutting Up a Walrus. It is a piece made by Levi Alushuak, who was born in Akulavic, Cape Smith in Nunavut in 1951. It is unsure where he passed away in 2015. It was made about 1974 and is made of stetite, leather, and ivory. It is purchased by the Montreal Museum of Fine Arts and is part of the Sadie and Samuel Brofman collection of Canadian art. The inventory piece number is 1974.AA 8.18. What I like about this particular statue is the interactiveness of one of the hunters, the one that's holding the stick to unalive the animal, right, and facing us. It's very emotional. You see that the movement of the strike that's about to happen, and you feel like you're catching that moment where it's about to happen, right? Even though this is basically a block of stone, essentially, right? It's always interesting to me how sculptures can take this piece of stone. It's the least, emotive material possible, yet they can bring so much emotion from that and really make this piece almost as if it's living stone, right? That it's a person that's just made from a different material than regular human beings. But I also like the fact that they're blending other materials as well. So as you can see, the strings aren't obviously metal. They're made of different materials as well. So I like the combination of both the stone and other materials, and what the artist brings to make the whole piece come alive and feel like it's a living sculpture. So that's my personal thought. Let me know, guys, in the comments what you guys think. This is a painting called Spring Dance, made by Napachi Putukuk, who was born in the Saru camp in Nunavut in 1938 and passed away in Kinget, also known as Cape Dorset, in Nunavut in 2002. It was made in 1979 and is a stone cut and stencil painting. It is part of the Art Gallery of Ontario, Toronto collection, and it was a gift of Samuel and Esther Sarek from Toronto, and it was given in 2002. The inventory number is 2002 slash 9819. So as you can see, this is another artifact, and it's again with a lot of the Inuit artifacts and painting. It's very simple, but to the point. You can tell that it's really about telling stories about themselves and their lives, right? And oftentimes, but not always, right? It's often portraying community activities, right? The things that they do together, right? When you go hunting for seals or whales or whatever it is that they're going to have for food, right? It's a community project that happens, right? So even if it's mostly men, women in particular participate in other ways for the hunt, right? They do other things. So it's about the whole community coming together to feed all of them together, right? So it's not just one person taking care of themselves or their family. It's about all of them working together so that they all feed, that they all can survive that winter, and realizing that, look, they're living in very harsh climate in a very isolated part of Canada. If you can't depend on your community, who can you depend on, right? This is not the place where if, hey, I don't see my neighbor for 2 days, I'm gonna knock on their door, I'm gonna call security, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, because hey, it's a bit worrisome that my neighbor, I haven't spoken to them in 2 days, right? This is the kind of community where if the hunting party doesn't come back, the people left in the village, they're screwed. They're not going to have food for a week, a month, a year, right? So they're potentially going to lose their lives if, the party doesn't come back at all or doesn't come back with enough food for everybody, right? So everybody has an integral part to play, and you will be missed if you leave, if you pass away for some reason, right? Everybody has a part to play in the community, in making sure that not only do they live, but so does everybody else in the community, right? So this is a we mentality rather than an I mentality. What am I doing, right? So even if you're talking about I, it's about what I can do to ensure that my community lives together. Now, of course, in any community, you're going to have outliers. You're going to have individuals that's like, no, it's about me. I don't care about my community. I don't care about everybody else. But generally speaking, obviously, like I said, guys, there's always exceptions to every rule, right? But there are exceptions that prove the rule. They are not the rule. This artifact is called Powerful Men by Thomasy Ali Katuktuk, who was born in Inukjuak, Nunavik in 1953. She passed away in Ottawa in 2009. The printmaker is Imona Karpik, who was born in 1950. This particular item was made in 1979, and it is a stone cut, and it is the 33rd item of 50. It is part of the collection of Jean-Jacques Natier's, And this inventory number is 742 2019. In most cases, the drum head was made from sealskin, but also sometimes from other animal skins, such as caribou, depending on the resource available in the region. Before being played, the skin is moistened and stretched around the frame with the aid of a mallet in order to achieve good resonance. This print, made by Tomasi Alika Tuktuk, which illustrates the technique, shows an Inuk joyfully brandishing a spear, ready to embark on a hunt that he hopes will be successful thanks to the impact of the drum dance song to come. So I of course have to acknowledge that some of the photos that you see in this video, they're not my best photos. And yes, it's me that took the photos. They're not my best. They're very blurry. And I only realized afterwards when I had already uploaded them. So I will be eventually going back to the Montreal Museum of Fine Arts to retake some of these photos because they're really blurry and not my best creation. So I do admit and I do acknowledge, but don't worry, guys, I will be going back to fix the problem. It is my bad, and I only have myself to blame. Definitely out there to take accountability. But, anyways, that withstanding, I do like this particular piece because it's very simple, but says a whole story. And that's really what I like about Inuit art in general is that it's not the kind of art that you see that has a lot of intricacies to it. There's a lot of material, a lot of colors, a lot, right? They're using very simple artifacts, art styles. It really gets to the point, but it says a lot. So it really shows the craftsman storytelling that you have with the Inuit people that can take very little and do a lot with it, right? That you don't need 10,000 different colors. You don't need the paint and this and that and blah, 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 right? You can take very little and make a lot out of it, right? So it's really, with this painting, I think really symbolizes that Inuit culture and that you can say a whole story and that you can really feel that this is the kind of painting that elder in the community would use as a backdrop to the story that they're telling to the children or the next generations that are there listening to them. That it really, the point isn't the painting itself, but the interactiveness between the elder and the community and them telling each other stories about themselves, about their community, their ancestors, right? And about these shamanistic events that happened and really going through the history, because we tend to forget that there's still communities out there, the Inuit being one of them, where it was for a very long time very much an oral tradition type of a community where people spoke to each other. That's how you connected. That's how history was told to people, right? We take it for granted in Canada and US and in many other countries that people will write down in some way, shape, or form their history and ancestry. And oh, here's my birth certificate and I can show that this person is my father, this person is my mother, etc., etc. Well, while as with the Inuit, like many other cultures and communities out there, the Inuit certainly aren't the only ones doing this. It's very much what you get told. Now there will be things like totem poles and inukchucks and all these other things that will communicate their tradition, their family, their connection between themselves and nature, etc. There are other ways, but the importance isn't what's written, right? It's really making those connections between community members and how everybody is connected with each other and really making it that connection really much more humane, right? It's what's being said between individuals. While as when something is on a video or on paper or it's a painting, etc., it's sort of kind of detaches that human connection between people, right? If I want to know more about my family, I have to go to somewhere else other than my parents, other than my grandparents, other than my own family, my own community. While as with the Inuit, it's still very much, you want to know more about your family, well, you go to your grandmother. Grandma, tell me about your grandmother. Tell me about her grandmother, etc., etc. Right? These are all these stories that get passed down from one generation to the next by what people are saying rather than what they're doing, right? The books that they're reading, the TV show that they're watching, or the DNA test that they took, etc., right? Not to say that these things aren't valid, or it's so wrong and how horrible. No, those are definitely one ways to keep, because once these elders pass away, whatever was in their head is gone, right? So you do need to have other ways of keeping records. But I think a good way to keep that human connection is by, first and foremost, making it clear to the next generations, hey, don't be shy to talk to your grandparents or your great grandparents if they're around, and find out, hey, what was it like back when you were a kid? What did what games did you play? Can you show me what games you played, what stories you told? Ghost stories are one of those that, like, every community has a ghost story. Hey, tell me a ghost story. You know what I mean? Of course, you guys know me. I'm always going to go for a good horror story, but it could be any kind of story, really, right? Ghost story is just what, I'm that kind of person. That's the first thing I'm going to go to, but it could really be any kind of story, right? Tell me about, when you first got to school, what did you do, et cetera, right? That's just, one of many examples of the kind of connection that you can make. So that's my thought on this particular artifact. I really like this particular exhibit, not only because it's such a rare topic in museums to have an exhibit about the Inuit, but also because of the layout of the exhibit as well. It was really well presented. There was a nice natural flow to how all of the artifacts were presented. You had items that were, statues, some that were videos of the Inuit doing their rituals and practices and singing and so forth. Um, and it was really well presented. You didn't feel bombarded either. There's lots of small scale items, large scale items, but it was all really, like I said, presented in such a way that everything felt very natural. You could go from one spot to another and not feel that you were going to bump into anybody or hurt anybody. So it was really nice to go from one section to another and really enjoy. Now, the second part of my video, I will go into a little bit of the status of the Inuit, because I think since it's such a rare topic, and we don't realize that the Inuit, like many communities in Canada, are struggling and going through a lot of difficulties. And I'm not saying that they're the only ones, but they're one of many. And we tend to forget that it's not just one particular group of people that are struggling in today's world. There are many that are struggling, sometimes with the same issues. So I just wanted to take that opportunity now to present some of the difficulties that the Inuit are going through, and some of the solutions as well, hopefully, that we can provide for them or other people if you're not inclined to helping the Inuit for whatever particular reason. First and foremost, I'd like to apologize in advance. I don't speak Inukchuk, and some of the words are in the language, so I will be unfortunately mispronouncing them, but I will do my best to avoid that as much as possible. And if there is somebody that watches this video and knows the proper pronunciation, please let me know. I definitely want to improve. This is not something that I'm proud of. I want to be able to, when I speak another language, even if it's just a few words, be able to do so properly. So I'll do my best, but I know for native speakers of the language, they'll probably know that I'm not a native speaker myself. So I apologize in advance. There are 53 Inuit communities that live in four regions of Canada: Inuvialut, which is the Northwest Territories and Yukon, shown in yellow on the map; Nunavik, which is essentially the northern parts of Quebec, shown in green on the map; Nunatsiavut, which is part of Labrador, the purple area on the map that you see; and Nunavut, which is in orange on the map. Inuktuk is the official language of the Inuit, which has regional dialects like many other languages. There are two written styles of the language: syllabics and Roman orthography. The syllabics represent the sounds rather than letters, while the Roman orthography is so that English speakers can sound out the words in Inuktitut. The struggles of the Inuit are many. Not only are they isolated due to living in some of the least populated regions of the country, the weather tends to be the coldest in the country. Also, they have a lower life expectancy compared to the rest of Canada: 70.8 years for the Inuit compared to 80.6 for the rest of Canadians. They also are more prone to infectious diseases, higher rates of suicide, and infant mortality. This is due to the poor socioeconomic status, lower education rates, and inadequate housing. When it comes to housing in particular, 33.6 of Inuit could not have access to suitable housings compared to 12.5 of the rest of Canada back in 2011. So, as you see on the screen here, there's a particular website that you can go to find out more about the Inuit in Ontario. Obviously, there are other websites that promote the different communities of the Inuit. As I said earlier in the video, there are 53 communities of Inuit. So, just because you see this particular website, this does not mean this represents all 53 communities, right? So you can visit this website, they'll inform you. So that's one way that you can help, excuse me, that you can help with the Inuit. It's just basically learning more about them, visiting their websites, seeing if there's, anything that you can do that they're promoting to say, hey, we need help with this, we need help with that, et cetera, right? Another way that you can help the Inuit is simply visit the northern parts of Canada whenever you can. Now, obviously, I understand that this is, an expensive adventure, seeing as flights already in Canada are expensive, and even more so to the northern part, since there's not a high demand for it. But if you can, instead of, going to, other parts of the world or, other parts of the country, if you can, go ahead and visit. Tourism is always a good way to help a particular group or particular country or community, etc. Now, obviously, donations to charities that specifically help the Inuit is another way to help them. Now, obviously, during election times, another way to help is by your vote, right? Make sure to try to vote for a party or an individual that out there campaigning for the rights of Inuits and making sure that the Inuit communities of Canada are getting the help that they need, right? And that's been, for me personally, this is just my opinion here, guys. My personal opinion is that the Liberals talked a lot about helping the Inuit, but really didn't do a whole lot to actually do that, right? Their action plan was lacking a lot, in my personal opinion. But again, that's just my personal opinion here, guys. If you disagree, let me know respectfully in the comments, or if you want to talk about it in your own video, that's absolutely fine as well, right? I believe wholeheartedly in respectful political conversations about any topic. Okay. So yeah, there's different ways that you can help the communities. So volunteering as well, if you again, if you can volunteer to help. There's lots of Inuits here in Montreal as well. So if you can help them as well. There's unfortunately quite a few that I see that are homeless in Montreal. So if you can help them in that way as well by providing shelter, maybe volunteering in a shelter, or other service that is out there to help them, either specifically or just help anybody that's homeless. There's the Dans la Rue organization here in Montreal that helps specifically homeless youth, so this might indirectly help them as well. So there's no one right way, sorry for mispronouncing that, no one right way to help other individuals, right? So I'm not going to chastise you guys if you help other people or help in different ways than what I suggest. If you're out there helping, that's all that really counts at the end of the day. No, there's no, like I said, there's no one right way to help other people, right? There's always just helping people. So as long as you're doing that, for me, I can't really complain. It's your life. You're allowed to help people how you feel comfortable helping them. I'm just giving you guys tools and knowledge to do so, and hopefully you guys utilize that to better yourselves and or other people. Sometimes you might not be able to help yourself, but you can help somebody else. So anyways, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comment section what your thoughts are. If you do like it, give me a like. And even if you guys give me a dislike, that's absolutely fine. That still helps the algorithm one way or the other. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and let me know. All right, have a good one, guys.
Am I a joke to you?
This piece is formally untitled, but the informal title to it is Two Hunters Cutting Up a Walrus. It is by Level. Level. Whoa. This is a piece called A Time for Celebration, and it is a collaborative work between Luke and Guhad Luke, who was born in Chantry Inlet in Nunavut in 1895 and passed away at Be- ugh, Bieber. Yes, Justin Bieber, why not?